All right, it says we're live. Is it real? It is. Oh my goodness. How exciting. All right. Well, here we are, everybody. I am Kat Udero. Welcome to Third Eye Salon, psychic empath, psychic wrangler, and I'm also a celestial medium. So here on every episode of Third Eye Salon, we open the veils up to the deeper truths, deeper realities, and deeper experiences that this 3D dimension does not always offer us. And today we're doing that with the amazing JClay, Jelani Clay, as we look beyond the veils of his musical ministry and how his love for everyone is so contagious and infectious through his music, through his art, and through all that he does. Now, before I continue to gush, I'm going to toss the mic over to my bestie, Linda Coulter-Burge, as we say hello to psychic and conscious business coach, Bestie. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I am doing wonderfully this morning. You can't help but be that way around JClay. I'm so excited. He just exudes this beautiful, beautiful energy. And I know you guys are all going to pick it up. So I am your live stream chat host. And as always, my policy is play nice or get out, because we don't have any tolerance for anything less than love for each other. So there you go. Please remember, like the button, hit that like button, because the sooner you do that, the more people we have, the more it gets shared out there. So please share. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe and check out our podcast. On all of the links below, you'll find them. And if you're interested in working directly with any of us, the links are also below. And as always, thank you for the donations and the likes. They are all appreciated. And if you have not joined our Facebook group, please join our Facebook group. And with that, JClay, I'm so excited that you are here, and I look forward to hearing more of your music. Good morning.
Morning. And yeah, thank you for having me. I feel the energy too. It just feels very natural coming on here. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Yeah, there's just these ripples of love. That ripple scene behind you just is like encapsulating this energy of like the love waves coming. So it is beautiful. Speaking of a love wave, well, that was Linda. We're on to Jason. Just kidding. Just kidding. Why? He's not just a psychic medium. He's so gifted and talented. He can tune into who your celestial family are, your ET kin, and put them onto paper. So and give messages from them. It's an amazing gift. He's an amazing man. It is Jason Atkins.
Thank you for the introduction, Kat. That was beautiful. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here, and I'm going to copy what everybody else said. You know, there's this uplifting energy that you could immediately feel in the pre-chat. So I'm excited for the people watching to get to even live or the replay, right? Because it's going to affect you the same way. I can't wait for them to hopefully get a whiff of that kind of uplifting energy. That I know that we've already been feeling it, so they're gonna have to. I'm super excited to be here. I've already had stuff in the shower. Like, I've got questions ready. It was like processing all this stuff. Yeah, so super excited to be here. And you know, I've got a teaser of it from another show. It's amazing. Like, it's amazing. So I'm so excited. So excited.
Yeah, it's contagious. The energy is just absolutely contagious. So if you are excited with us in any capacity to join this love wave and open your heart and open your body to the beautiful truth of who and what you are, give us a little love, give us a like, give us some comments, give us a thumbs up. And with that, I am going to do the bio so you all know a little bit more about this gentleman. JClay is a spiritual teacher and rap artist that makes music to heal even the most reluctant of minds. His mission is to help people around the world find and keep peace always. He is one of the leaders of the spiritual hip-hop movement, using music to expose the false beliefs that limit growth. JClay's album, I Am Nobody, I Am Someone, has been endorsed by industry and psychology professionals, music bands, and is being heralded as a key tool in healing the mind. Quote, the way JClay is able to break down the mind-body-soul connection in song form in reference to healing is truly remarkable, quote, Dr. Nicole LePera, holistic psychologist. As one fan said, if Jesus rapped, it would be this. Which I think that's brilliant. JClay is thrilled to change how music can be used to heal for good. So let us get into it. JClay, I always like to start at the beginning of someone's journey. And how did you become so irrepressible? Like, how did someone teach you to never give up? Did someone teach you to always, like, like, was there somebody that imprinted upon you in your life growing up to be this, to go from like resilience into thriving, Yeah,
it's tough to say because there have been so many examples in my life. Like there's so many people who have done so much, but it might just have been one quick interaction. And then it could be some people that I was close to my whole life that maybe the grouping of all of it just kind of rubbed off. But I don't know, I've always just been a happy person. And there was a period of time where I thought that could be a bad thing. And so it did almost lead to bad things. But like I've come to my understanding now that we are who we are, and it's so natural to be ourselves, and that's when we are happiest. And I guess it was like I was okay being myself. Then I learned that I shouldn't be myself, and then now I'm relearning to be myself and helping others to remind them that they should be themselves as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, the phrase that really strikes me from your bio, one of the phrases is keep peace always. And Rosetta Jazz Hands, who's watching the show. Hey, Rosetta, thanks for being here with us. And Carla, thank you for being here with us today. Rosetta, that's one of her, I'm working with her. We have a project we're working on together. And so peace is one of her core values. And so I'm wondering, what does peace mean to you? How did peace become a value like this in your life where you want everyone to feel, these waves of peace that are like rippling behind you, right? Like, how did that become a priority for you? Why did that become a priority for you?
Yeah, because so one, the realization that peace is what we all want, right? Like, and that's one of the ways that you can connect with everyone, because everyone wants peace. Nobody wants to always be in conflict. So it's kind of like a cheat code to getting in good with someone. Offer them peace, and they're like, wow, okay, I can let my guard down. I can be myself. But you can only do that by also being yourself and letting your guard down and really being at peace, not posing as a threat, not holding, certain thoughts in your head, like, how can I get over on this person, or this person is trying to get over on me? And the understanding of that changed everything, because at any moment we could be at peace, no matter what's going on outside of ourselves. I've even tried this in some of the craziest circumstances, whether like I should have physical pain or whether I'm in a situation where it needs my immediate attention. I challenge these ideas like, okay, can peace remain in this? Can I go within and just be peaceful? Will it affect the outcome, what happens outwardly? And it does, it did. And just a few times of practicing it made me a true believer. And everyone that I've brought this to, regardless of religion or culture, everyone agrees, because again, everyone wants peace deep down. It's really what we are.
I'm tuning into this vibration of peace that you're bringing in, and you've said to us that you've experimented with peace and deciding I will find peace in moments where I should be maybe shattered, or I should be, just screaming or whatever. Would you just give us one of those journeys that you feel would be relevant for people to understand how you can choose something that seems unchoosable in that moment?
Yeah. So one of my examples that I love sharing is when I was playing basketball. this was after, so I won't say all of these ideas are my own. I'll say I was influenced heavily from A Course in Miracles. And I highly recommend it. It's all about peace and love and everything, and it filled in the gaps to my understanding. So I was at the basketball court playing, and I'm always amazed by this too, because basketball is a competition game, and it's like you can't both be in competition and love at the same time. It's one or the other, like you have to kind of choose where you're at, but you can still play hard, still play to the most of your ability. But anyway, I was playing hard with a guy who was taller than me by maybe 6 inches. I pride myself on my defense, so I feel like I can guard anyone. So we're banging down low, like we're going at it, and then it's getting physical. I think I reached up one time and came down on his head or shoulder, something. And it was an accident though. It wasn't on purpose. And he got mad, and we were already kind of, talking stuff back and forth. He got mad. He ran up to me, center court, and he looked down, and he was in the fighting stance, in the fighting pose. Now, I am a black belt in Taekwondo. So my first thought, I won't lie, was, okay, if I sweep him, he'll be off balance. While he's down on the ground, I can do whatever. So I'm still thinking these egoic thoughts. But then I said, wait a minute, okay, I'm preaching peace, I'm preaching love, I'm learning about it. I'm saying that I want this for myself. I have to be willing to give it and trust it no matter what. And this all happened in 1 second. And so I just released. I mustered all the love I could and just kind of, it was like I let go and sent it his way. And instantly he said, you know what? I'm getting too serious. I'm going to check myself out of the game. And ever since then, like, we've been really cool. It's been nothing but love. I mean, even the guys we play with, it's always nothing but love. But like, it was one of those turning points that it was like, wow, love needs no offense or defense.
Love needs no offense or defense. Okay, Linda Coulter-Burge, I would love for you to step in. I feel like you're in resonance with this.
Oh yeah, I was just feeling and encouraged everybody to just breathe and say, I choose love. I choose peace. I choose joy. And when you're in that, I know I've been in that situation where I've had to just stop and especially if I'm triggered, and be able to just stop and say, I'm choosing this. And not just that I'm responding differently, but that I am different. So for me, it's saying I choose to love, but I choose to be love. And I see that and I hear that in your lyrics. And we can just in those moments choose to be love. And embody that. The choice kind of goes away. You just are.
And I will say to that, because I know sometimes once we know we have a choice, we can be hard on ourselves when we don't choose that choice. But the fact that a person can think about the choice in it, even if they choose the wrong choice, it's still progress, because before you would just go to meet the anger with anger, but now you realize, okay, I have a choice. I'm still going to choose anger, but I still pause for a second to know that I have a choice, and that's still progress. And to not beat yourself up if that happens.
Absolutely, because I know I would have considered myself failing many times. And just even after the fact, each time being able to go back and go, ugh, I might have handled that differently. Because next time, maybe I will. At least I'll have the pause. And then at least the next time. And that's, what a wonderful world we could have if we were to practice that and demonstrate it for others to practice. I have a dear friend who just had that happen at her work. She had somebody come in that scared everyone. They were so enraged. And she met that person with a very soft, quiet, loving voice but also a very stern, this is not appropriate voice, and brought that person down into a level of calmness that was so shocking that people came up afterwards and said, wow, I just learned something. So being able to demonstrate that for others when we're in such a hypersensitive, hyper dysfunctional society right now, I think we've lost track of how this reactive instead of responsive mode that we're in.
And it's the whole Karen syndrome. I mean, and it's not I'm so sorry about that name. It's not to pick on Karens at all, but like that has that syndrome of like, I'm losing my shizzle. I'm becoming enraged over the minutia because I can't have what I want in this moment, and having this complete disconnect from like the continuity of life. Like that breakdown of privilege is so important, and the breakdown of being able to show up and call somebody out on their behavior and say, you know what, we have boundaries here, we have balance here. This is not okay. And I think it's, yeah, I'd like Jason to step into, and I'm sorry, unless Lindy had something else to finish with. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. PB Herman.
I do have a question. So specifically around this example that you shared. I understand it. I get it, right? You're almost exchanging your peaceful energy with their anger energy, or you're influencing, right? Like you're bleeding kind of onto them. But like when you approach the situation, you have a martial arts background. So I'm sure you felt pretty confident in your ability to protect yourself, right? So for someone else that may not feel that confident, how do you bypass? I may be given love and peace, but I'm not about to get my ass kicked, so there's a balance, right? Like and how do you get to a place, I guess is where I'm going with my question. How do you get to a place of overstepping the fear of being physically harmed and defending yourself while still engaging in this, I don't want this to happen, peace, love, and then they swing, right? I know you're going to defend yourself, but what if you decide to swing first because of the fear, right?
Yeah. Okay. There are a lot of levels I'm going to take to answer this. So the first was, I was willing to get hit. Like in me dropping my guard and getting love, I was like, either this is going to work or I'm going to get knocked out. Because at that point, my guard was not up. I kind of it was just like, I just let go. And the reason I did that is, again, the other level to this is, at that point, I was beginning to understand that we are not our bodies. And I can go deeper into that if you want, but I really started to understand that we're not our bodies, and that our bodies are more so responding to the thoughts of our mind. And it's kind of a representation of who we think we are, not even who we actually are. And so with that, it was like, well, why fight for something? What am I fighting for? Why fight for what isn't real? If my body can be harmed, then is it worth protecting? You know what I mean? Like what's real protects itself. Like love is love. No matter if we try to fight for it, protect it, peace is peace. No matter if we try to fight. I mean, people say they fight for peace, which doesn't make any sense, but all the things that are real, they are real, whether we are holding on to it or not. And so if even I'm real, let's test it. Let's really see. And I'm not saying, go jump off a building or something, but there are people who do, and they're all right because that's what resonates with them. And yeah, so to that, it's, you kind of don't know it until you take that leap of faith in seeing, because I really didn't know what was going to happen, but I was willing to learn either way that it happened.
You surrendered to the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I'm going to maybe counter that a little bit in an experience I had where I had someone physically attack me, and I was by myself in a parking lot at 9 p.m. And I remember turning around and turning into my previous life as a sailor and holding my ground and thinking, if he does this, I will do that. If he does this, I will do that. And it just all came. I knew I was willing to do everything in my power at that point because he was danger to me. He meant me harm, and I wasn't willing to let him harm me. And in that energy of me saying, I'm not allowing you to do that, I'm holding my ground, I'm not allowing you to do that, I saved my life. Someone else died in that parking lot a week later. So for me, there's a reason for our, Carl Jung talks about us exploring the darker side of ourselves, because there's a reason for that as a whole. And I do believe that it's okay to stand up for yourself. So I'm going to, and it's okay not to if that's what you choose. But I think, I don't want to leave that it's always the virtuous thing to do. I wouldn't be here today. And that's having someone that, knows and understands that I've been here before and will be here again. I chose to stay here longer.
Yeah,
Well,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Because I wanted to ask, and it kind of relates to Linda's situation. So with Linda's situation, like, this is a complete stranger, right? She doesn't know this person. Your interaction is with a bud that we play games with. He wasn't a stranger. He was known to you. So would you have had the same reaction if it was someone that you didn't know?
Yeah, I believe so, because, I'll say this. Even before I found the Course in Miracles, I was fascinated by the story of Jesus, whether Jesus is real or not. Like, I was fascinated by it and the things he said we can do, and that coming back from the dead is not even a thing, right? And I don't know, I've never come back from the dead before, but I'm willing to see what will happen. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to put myself in harm's way and challenge everyone that has a gun or no, not at all. I'm just saying, if something happened, who knows? I mean, who's to say that I won't resurrect in 3 days, And I know that might not be normal in our society, but because people don't believe it's normal, we're limited only by our beliefs. And I am willing to be okay with what happens in the moment. Like you said, you hear about NDEs that say, near-death experiencers, that, when I died temporarily, I saw this and saw that. And if they saw all of this, they were still alive. It was just maybe a break in their physical consciousness, but life just is. And I'm willing to stand on that.
Yeah, I want to kind of balance it, because I feel like I don't feel like it's an either or plight. You know what I mean? I feel like how Linda's SelfSwitch was exactly in her highest good. You know what I mean? I feel like when you're willing to channel your highest good, you kind of get out of the way, and you end up doing things that you wouldn't think you would normally do. And you end up, and that can evolve and change over time. And it's going to, what that looks like depends on the situation, depends on the person. And I think that, that is just between you and source. And I, speaking of source, it's this is what I feel, Jelani, is what you're resonating in is the source energy. When I had my experience with the toad medicine, this, it's the same resonancy, it's the same frequency. It's when I went there in that state of, being connected to, everything, I was oh, I'm already doing this. This is the stuff that I do with my healing work. It's already a resonance I know. So there was a parallel and a connection. And even though it was much more total, it was much more much more vulnerable. But with you, it's the same resonance where it's it's this bell frequency of inclusion where everyone's included. And it's just, it's something that you keep bringing with you. And I can see, and in that, and I relate this back to the toad medicine experience, because in that state, there was no separation. All the things, anything, how do I say this? I'm trying not to get too personal. Anything I focused on in my life in terms of a relationship, I could say, oh, I was oh, I created that. That was that's a distortion from a belief that I've been holding. And I created a complete experience from that throughout my life based on this one incursion, which created a distortion. And in the oneness, I could see that. I was like, oh my God, I did this to myself, which is always the story at the end of the day, right? We do it to ourselves. But like you've done this through, it seems like through working with Course in Miracles and Abraham Hicks. And to just speak more to like, what has allowed you to be in this resonance and work from this resonance?
Yes. So I'm fascinated with understanding how things work and how it can apply to things like, but on a deeper level, like you see certain contradictions in people, but they're doing the same thing. And it's like you want to understand it. Even the body, right? Because that's a big thing that we believe in. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to believe in the body, but like you start to notice certain patterns. And I'll use basketball players because I like basketball. They're some of the tallest people in the world, but they're taller than their siblings that might not play basketball. They're taller than their parents. So, people might argue it's genetics. They have good genetics to grow that tall, but no, when you look at it, their entire life, they're reaching for a higher goal, for a physically higher goal. And their body is responding to that intuition, that within that they're trying to reach. And you can say a similar thing for gymnasts who are usually the shortest in their family. And I found out the reason for that was I had a coworker who he used to do gymnastics, and he was trying to teach me how to flip. I still don't know how yet, but anyway, I was scared. It was fear then. But anyway, he told me that you want to be as tight as possible, like really be tight so you can really whip over. And so like gymnasts are very tight and short and very muscular in that center core area. And and again, it's our body is responding to that. So similar to what you said, Katman, that what you created for yourself, it kind of comes into play. And me knowing that, it's like, I created this, let me just play it out, or let me see if I can create, but from source, not from my individual ego creation, but from the true higher self creation, and just see where that leads.
How do you pull that apart for yourself? Because we do have some thought leaders like Abraham Hicks, I would say is one of them. But there are many, in terms of learning how to, like one of my favorites is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Like his words are just like a bell through my body, like he just holds me to being so accountable that I'm the creator in a way that's very tangible. And I'm wondering, are there other people that you've immersed yourself into in terms of learning how to like, it's like, they talk about, it's more about detoxifying your brain. It's more about detoxifying who you are rather than finding yourself. I mean, finding yourself is actually getting rid of who you aren't. Anyhow, you go.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard the quote, like, watch your thoughts before they become your words, watch your words before they become your actions, watch your actions before they become your habits, watch your habits before it becomes your character, watch your character before it becomes your destiny. Like, I was that guy that dissected all of that to see, is this true? Like, does it really happen? And you realize your thoughts kind of start the entire process. But even before that, your thoughts are influenced by your beliefs. And so like what you believe, in a sense, your thoughts, like if I think you mean me harm, I'm going to speak to you like you do. I won't treat you like you don't. And since of that process where we control our thoughts, words, and actions, I started really paying attention to those and making sure that they were in line with what I wanted. Now, to answer your question about like who kind of influenced me, yeah, Abraham Hicks was big on that. Again, Jesus, because in the Bible he said, man can do greater things than I. And it's like, wow, like what? And then even his disciples in the stories did the same miracles he performed. So it's like, well, we can all do that. Why are we waiting for a savior, so to speak? Like we can do all of these things. We are each other's saviors. And so that, and then recently Bashar, I don't know if you all heard of Bashar, but I've been devouring most of his content, and it's on this similar wavelength of choose joy in this moment, choose your highest joy in this moment. And and surrender to that moment and know that everything else will take care of itself.
Oh, yeah. So tell us who Bashar is. For people who don't know who Bashar is, go ahead and give us a teach.
All right. So Bashar, from what I understand, he's being channeled through Daryl Anka, I think is his name. And he is said to be from the future hybrid race, something like that. Yeah, off another star. And again, like all of this is new to me. Like I know how this sounds, but when you hear truth, you just recognize it. You're just like, wow, with all the things that he's sharing is just true. And if it's true about this, perhaps that's true too, that you can channel and everything is possible. I mean, like even what you all do, like I'm amazed by psychic abilities. I don't knowingly have any, but I know that it's possible for everyone to have it. And it's so cool.
Yeah, well, it's talking about Bashar is like old home week for us. Like we haven't really talked about him specifically, but in terms of channeling ETs, yeah, any day of the week. But I think that I would say that you are a channeler because you are a musician. So to me, that is a psychic ability, being able to channel. Jason, you hop in and speak to that because you are a channeler.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think every creative type is channeling from somewhere, right? But this goes beyond just you channeling, music. Like there's a frequency that you're choosing in this, and that there's these vibrations. Even from the videos, like the color of the background, like all of that's a different vibration or frequency that we're absorbing, right? And I think that's unknowingly or knowingly, like you are pulling that from somewhere, and it's like massive amounts of energy that are clearly affecting people in a positive way. So you may not be saying, oh, your dead grandmother Ruth was stepping in and saying hello, but you're, in a sense, you're channeling healing energy. It's the way that you're doing it that is just super engaging, and it's automatic, right? Like it's this automatic thing. So yeah, you're definitely pulling it from that space that Kat's talking about, right? That look, my throat's getting all but from that divine, that creator space, there's a like a crispness in a sense, feel wise, if that makes sense, to the energy. It's awesome. You're definitely connecting, but you're just doing it in the way that you were meant to do it, right? So you have other people that maybe be able to talk to their dead grandmother, but they're like, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I could have the impact on the scope of amount of people, right? Does that make sense? Like I may affect 5 people in my neighborhood, but you're connecting to such a larger audience. So it's super special. You should feel, and I know you do, very blessed. It's awesome.
And I will say, so to that, when I do write, I am amazed at what comes out. Like I know, because again, my songs help me. And I know how strange that can feel, because it's like, whoa, you wrote the song. You should know what you're saying already. But like, I don't know. It like you said, you tap into that energy and it kind of just comes out. So yeah, I guess in a way, I am channeling, and it's pretty cool. And I usually write though, like I'm speaking to 1 to 5 people, like not trying to get to the world, but like this, that person that might doubt themselves for a second. It's like, nah, you're there. Like you are you for a reason. And and I'm glad that comes out.
What strikes me is the more personal, the more universal. So like, as you're keying into somebody that, you're thinking of in your mind, you're like, oh, you're glitching. I'm going to help you get over this glitch. I'm going to like sing you through this glitch until you come back into a chord, and it's like, and then you channel the energy for that person or that moment or the situation. But the more personal, the more universal. Ooh, I'm getting the chills. What do you call them, Jason? The chill bumps. I'm getting the chill bumps.
We were just talking about love bombs in the chat. We prefer love bombs.
Love bumps. That's funny. Miss Linda, did you have any reflections on this?
Oh, we were talking on the chat. We've had a great conversation on the side here about, Loretta brought up a great question of how does our vibration impact our experience here in this dream? And it absolutely does. I mean, you get two people that grow up in the same house with, the same events and see it from two different perspectives. I could look at something that happened and my husband could have looked at it and we had exactly the opposite reaction to it, creating a different reality for ourselves. And, I used to tell me he would say something in fear and he'd say we, and I'd turn around and say, what's this we, Kimosabi? No, you can do that, but I'm choosing something different, right? Like that, if that's where you want to go for it. But for me, this is how I'm choosing my reality. And I absolutely think that how we vibrate in that, how we make those choices with our, we're combining how our thoughts and our feelings and our intuition all combine to create that vibration, that reality that we have here. Keeping in mind also that we're intermixing with everyone else's. It's this beautiful tapestry where we're responding. We have a choice of reacting or responding to what they're going through. And that's the juicy part, right? That's what makes life so interesting. So that's my take for what it's worth.
Well, I'll buy that for $1.
Love bomb everybody.
Any reflections on that, Mr. JClay?
Yeah, no, I agree. I love that. I love respond, not react. Like I'm definitely gonna use that and just remember that. Like it's true. Like the vibration you're on impacts everything. So the music that I made before A Course in Miracles kind of filled in the missing pieces to my understanding of the universe, so to speak. It was very different. It was more egocentric, like, I'm the best, I'm better than you. I did all this, look what I did, look at me. And it really changed. And I let go of some really good songs that were good musically, but it didn't help the collective and it wasn't representative of the world I wanted to live in. So I had to just let them go. And I know some people were like, couldn't you just recreate the same song with positive lyrics? And I was like, no, it's just a different energy. Like you kind of match up with what you're writing to, like with that energy. And so it's what you choose in this moment, you will experience, so to speak.
What you choose in this moment is what you'll experience. Yeah, I mean, and you've also, God, it's just a good bell to hit and hit in that resonance for a while, stay in that resonance for a while. You were speaking to, having made music that wasn't good for the collective or wasn't, didn't include the collective. It was more ego oriented in terms of, but I want you to talk about that transition because you were in a group that was successful, but didn't quite ever peak. And it was so frustrating. But it was also one of those things where it's like, why? And then you're like, oh, this is why. And it's a great, like your own hero's journey within that experience. Would you break that down for us?
Yeah. So I started off as a producer and I didn't rap. I used to make like silly songs to make my friends laugh. And then a good friend of mine, he said, man, you should rap for real. And I started trying and got better at it. I ended up rapping in a trio and then later a duo. But in the trio, we had a lot of successes. We won competitions to get airplay on the radio, which was one of our main goals. Like let's get in rotation on the radio. And so in one instance, we succeeded, but then the program director got fired. It's like, what do we do now? Then at another radio station, like we succeeded in getting through to the program director. They died before they could put us on and it's like what? This doesn't make any sense. This is not possible. How can we be trying this hard for a particular goal, and then, you know, it's like divine intervention happens before anything can happen. Like, what am I doing? What am I putting out there? And it always led me back to me. Like, I didn't want to blame anyone, because again, I think the idea of that saying, your thoughts become your reality, had taken root. And I was like, nah, it's got to be me. I must be not thinking something correctly. And so every time it would be devastating, like, because this was before I knew to just choose peace all the time. But it was like, why do I feel like this? How do I stop this? How can I never feel like this again? How can I be happy and peaceful? And it was a longing for that for a while. And so once the knowledge, once the information in the Course in Miracles was understood and practiced, and I can see the correlation between certain things, I knew that if I put out some of the old songs, even though I deemed them as really good and great songs, overall, it wouldn't really help people get out of that mindset. Like, they would just stay in it. So then they would reflect it back to me, which I wouldn't want. So it's like, it's better for me to just let those songs go.
So what was the moment for you where it popped? I mean, I feel like with all of us, sometimes it's a gentle pop. Sometimes people have a big pop. And we always have more pops, right? You know, but in terms of these like breakthrough moments where it clicks and we're like, oh, so what was the moment where you were like, oh, I'm going to choose peace now, and this is now my status quo?
Yeah, so it's probably in the middle of 2018. Now, again, I found the Course in Miracles 2018. So maybe I've been reading it, devouring it, trying to understand it, because it is tough. It's a tough read. And then I was, sharing ideas with people I'm starting to understand. And then one day, it was like I went into a sadness, like I was mourning myself. It was like for that entire week, I was just sad, because I realized that I'm not my past, and I was carrying so much baggage. Like, this is me. I've been through this. I had this and did that, and this is my identity. It was a lot of fighting identity, so to speak. And when I realized that wasn't me, I was still sad. Like, there was still a period of mourning for that identity. And then after that week was over, it was like, wow, this is amazing. But nothing changed physically, but it's like everything was a new color. Like, the colors were brighter. The birds chirped better songs or something. Like, everything was different from that point on.
So did you have an experience? Was there a specific night where you really released who you were and experienced some kind of an ego death? Because it sounds like there was an ego death on like a quantum level, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, so I thought about that, and the only reason I don't know for sure if it was that, because I've saw instances where, like, my ego would try to creep up, like even this new spiritual identity will try to then be an identity. It's like, no, I'm not falling for that again. So I don't know if it's like a complete ego death, but there was a certain level of that there, but it wasn't like a specific night or anything. I just remember I was just quiet to myself, still going to work and everything. And it was just, I don't know, I was just sad that week.
Gosh, that's so gentle. I think that's a really great thing for people to note, because a lot of people have, and by ego death, it's as soon as you hear someone say, I don't have an ego anymore, my ego's dead, that's the ego talking, like, for sure, anyone who says they don't have an ego is talking from their ego. So, but ego death meaning that, yeah, you were grieving your identity. You knew that some part of you had built up this thing of like, and what your music was, around, like your musical style, the content, it was all around your history. And as goes your history, so does your music, and so does your identity. Who is this new Jelani Clay? Who's JClay? That's what I get from that. It was almost like this, like, it was a very gentle, but like, tomb. Like you went into like the death cycle, and we're reborn at the other end. Very gentle is what it feels like to me.
And what was crazy was, not crazy, but how receptive, I guess, people were of me, because, there's a part of like, okay, well, if I'm not this anymore, like what am, like you said, what am I? Who am I? And would people want to be around me? Like, am I too serious now? Am I too spiritual? Like, what is this? But people were really receptive, and it was almost like they saw this for me before I saw it for me. And it's been a lot more ease in the music realm than it was before, making the type of music that's already popular, so to speak.
Yeah, and I want to say, it's funny how when you stopped resisting, it all started to flow, and people said to you, "Oh, we already knew this about you." Like when I came out as a psychic, like I did this on Facebook because it was a big moment for me, and people were like, "Yep, we know." It was like, it was a moment for me, but everyone already was kind of like, they can see you, right? So at least the people who really are looking at you from their heart. And I thought maybe this would be a good time to transition into hearing some of your music, unless Jason or Linda had a follow-up thought, question, feedback.
We do have a question. So Loretta, who by the way has an amazing podcast
Yeah.
and she does a Course in Miracles lesson with each one. That was so apropos when she did mine. So check her podcast out. She has a question. Jay, do you have a meditation practice? And if so, what resonates for you for those of us who struggle to meditate consistently?
All right. Hey, Loretta. Yeah, so currently, not exactly. Like I've had in the past where I think I did, trying to think of the meditations I did. Sadhguru, I'm not sure if you all heard of him. He had like a meditation. It's like a 21 you do every day, but I just wasn't consistent enough to do that. Every now and then I'll kind of just sit in silence, really for just a minute, and just completely let go. I'll go from head to toe, and sometimes I'm surprised at things that aren't let go of. It's like, wow, I didn't realize I was maybe clenching my jaw or something. But that's one I've done. Also, Course in Miracles, they have a workbook section where you do like one exercise a day, and it's 365 lessons, and I would do that. But right now, I guess maybe walking could be considered my meditation, because I go out to the park every day and just kind of walk and be out in nature, clear my mind, and just kind of just be. So I don't know if any of that helps, but those are all the things that I've done and what I'm currently doing.
And just want to say that I think like meditation becomes a relationship with yourself in the moment. So for some people, gardening is a meditation, and for some people, yoga is their meditation. And if it is for you to sit in silence, and that is what your higher aspect is calling you to do, great. Your higher aspect may never call you to do that. And I think we just kind of have to honor, how it shows up for us in our individuation, because we've been given templates of what to follow. But my longstanding motto has been take it, break it, and make it your own. And, my current practice is an amalgamation of many practices, and it's not the same every day, because I'm listening. I'm like, oh, what are we doing now? Oh, okay, we're going to do this now. And because there's a relationship, that relationship is satisfying. Not, did I tick the box and show up the way that they told me to do in the video? You know what I mean? Like it is about your heart connection to what it is that you are engaging, and it's a relationship to everything, to your body, to your breath, to the world, to your social media, to your pet. Everything is relationship, to your furniture. How do you show up for your home? It's relationship upon a relationship. The indigenous people had it right all along. Surprise. So what I would like to do is, well, sir, I will let you choose. Mind Blown, or do you want to start with Shine Blind? Because I want people to get a good feel for you. We've been going on, and now let's actually hear the man in his natural form.
Yeah, we'll start with Shine Blind. That's actually the first song I made in this positive space. It was one of the songs that was like, okay, can I make music like this without it being too corny and too pushy, and it still has that essence? And this was the first one I actually made.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Shine Blind.
All right.
Every day I'm shining. You got that light too, we should be blinded. For real. Hey. Every day I'm shining. I'm shining. You got that light too, we should be blinded. For real. Shine on them. Shine on them. Blind away. Shine on them. The fake shine on them. Blind away. Shine on them. Blind away. Shine on them. Like the fake shine on them. Blind away. I ain't never seen right, just been perceiving. Can't believe in what I've been believing. People see the past when the past gone. People see me mad when I laugh long. People see me built on some guilt, then try to pass it on and think it's cute. When you share love, then you get love. When you share then you get what we gon' learn? Learn now. Be present, right? Smile. I promise that guidance is promise. So fineness is sinus, then harvest. I'm your savior, so are you. So are him and her, and it's all true. When you hold a grudge, then we both bruise. When you scold a judge, then we all lose. So every day I'm shining. You got that light too, we should be blinded. Every day I'm shining. You got that light too, we should be blinded. Shine on them. Shine on them. Blind away. Shine on them. Light the fake. Shine on them. Blind away. Shine on them. Shine on them. Blind away. Shine on them. Light the fake. Shine on them. Blind away. I forgive you. Now let's go find some other ones to give to. You can only give what you got. You can never live if you not. Hey, bring that blood back. I forgive you. Now let's go find some other ones to give to. You can only give what you got. You can never live if you not. Man, I swear all people are awesome. No matter where I go, I'm seeing God's son. I'm eating life. Death. Man, I feast. Man, I fast. Hey.
So that just strikes with that joy. Again, I get misty just listening to this. There's a relentlessness here in this song that says, it's blind. I knew I was going to cry. But I didn't know anyway. So blind away, there's a permission to have your entire light turned on. And I want you to talk to about how that is for people when they're struggling with their finances, when they don't know where their next meal is coming from. How do you do that when people are hurting?
Yeah, so one thing is to treat them like they're not hurting, because it's funny, like you might hear stories or somebody might say, hey, you look great today. And then somebody else says it and somebody else, you're like, wait a minute, maybe I do look great. And it's kind of that similar thing. Like if I treat you like you're hurting or something, you're going to believe it's something wrong with you. Like, oh, what's the matter? But if I like nothing's happened, like, oh no, you got this, you're good. It's not a big deal. Let's move on to what brings us joy right now. It kind of brings you in that vibration of joy so that your thoughts aren't holding on to what doesn't serve you. And the best way to be, in a sense, is joyful, because when you see things from a joyful perspective, it makes it easier to figure out what your next move is. Like I always say, never make a decision in a dark state. Even if it sounds like you have to make this decision right now, try to find at least some joy first and then make that decision. Because then you know it's the right one. Like I've had situations where it might have seemed joyful to do like a new business, like, oh yeah, I can do this business. And I started doing it, I'm full of joy. But then it was really just to get me out of my way so I can get to this next project to work on. And I'm amazed by that, by listening to my higher self give me these sparks of joy in the moment, which can lead to then an opportunity to receive a lot more money than I would have been making had I believed that I had to stay in this particular situation. And make the most of it. Like, and I guess I'll say this, because, sometimes we say make the best of a situation is not to, how do I say this? it's not to say that you have to stay in it, but it's more so find the joy in it first. Like that's really making the best of a situation. And then once you find the joy, you can figure out what to do in the situation.
I know that's real. And I really want Linda to weigh in on this because she and I have talked about this sort of thing for, how do you listen to your higher self when you're in a space of despair? How do you listen to your higher self when you're in a place of panic? And with my, recent awakenings, it's been really interesting to watch my collective walk me through panic after panic after panic and be like, you're still okay, right? And me having to release it and be like, okay, I have to trust. And just when I think I'm like, okay, they've done everything they can, another situation happens where I'm like, I have to surrender and just be, moment to moment. And I've also been the person who didn't know where his next meal was coming from per se. I've been in down and out in situations. And so being able to find solace within your own mind. How do you do that when you are in a place where the matrix has gotten a hold of you and it's, just choking your lifeline for all it's worth? How do you begin to peel back from that place?
Yeah, so I actually went through this almost twice. So I worked at my day job for 14 years, quit in like 2019. I found A Course in Miracles 2018. I finally started being joyful and happy at my job and just going above and beyond. And then the stars aligned for me to quit. So then I was going to do, again, I was going to do another project that I did on the side. It was a music project teaching kids the basics through song, so teaching in that sense. And we did it on the side for a while and it was going well. And I figured, if I quit my job, I can really make a lot of money if I just do this full time. So I did that, but then the course lessons were just coming up and more people were showing up that needed what I had to offer. So I was like, well, okay, I'm now hearing the voice, just finish the album. So I'm working on the music and I used all my retirement money to fund my lifestyle, just me living. And so that ran out. And then I started to get worried, like, oh man, what do I do? How do I live? Like, I'm listening to you, Source. Come on, you told me everything's gonna be all right. And I did panic a little bit. I started doing some freelance jobs, and then everything was all right again. And then I was like, okay, I was panicking for nothing. Yes, I hear you. I know I shouldn't keep panicking. And then, but then it rolled around again where I started believing too much in that work, like the side hustle. Like it's not to say that it's a bad thing. I do enjoy it, but I was believing, I have to take advantage of every opportunity. I have to do this, do that. And the more I did that, the less me I felt, the less happy I felt. And once I started letting go again, it was like I was getting higher paying clients for less work. And I was like, wow, this is like, why do I make it much harder? And here's where Bashar comes into play. He talks about always following your joy in the moment, like no matter what it is, it can be something simple. And what I used to do is if I thought of a bad thought, I would then try to force myself to think the opposite to undo it. But that's a lot of resistance to always think the opposite. But instead, by just doing the next joyful thing, like if it's like taking this football and just tossing it in the air, it brings me joy. That's all it takes, because then you loosen up the grip on this false reality, and then you don't even remember what you were frustrated about, or you might get a spark that just says, oh, just do this and you'll be okay.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is doing something that breaks you from the trigger that you're in, and that will help you in terms of starting to relate to what's happening from a different place. Again, relating to it from a place of being connected. And I think that being able to do that for ourselves is huge. And I think that also, when I want to say that when people are in times of need, being able to reach out to community and being able to know that community is here for you is so important, and that you shouldn't have to do these things alone. And sometimes I remember back in the day, it was like, if your life wasn't great, then you weren't being positive enough. And then it becomes this thing about like, then you're not manifesting because you're not in alignment. It becomes this thing where it becomes heavy as opposed to, are you loving yourself right now? Well, what's the most loving thing you could do? Reach out for help, or reach out for help. Like, it shows up differently. And yeah, Linda, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, leaving my high paying job and doing what I was led to do and having it go down in flames. Like my life went down in flames, and it was like, you told me. It's like, no, actually, if I look back, I said, what lesson do I need to learn? I'll do that. I'll follow you and learn the lesson I need to learn. And once I reframed that to learning that lesson, like all the pain shifted for me. I can't say it totally went away because it was a very painful experience, but that reframing of, I get it. From these ashes, now I can rebuild. I get it.
From these ashes, the phoenix.
Yeah. But in that process, how do you break that cycle of that fear and that? Because, since then, I've had opportunities to go right back into that place of fear. And I have a lot of people that I work with that are in that place of fear, right? And so for me, I do like to acknowledge that that's where you are. I don't like to do the, we call it spiritual bypassing, where it's like not acknowledging that you're in fear. Yeah, you're in fear. Can we look at this from a different way? Can we shift where your focus is? And remember that our job is to know the what, not the how. That our what is lighting us up, what is bringing us joy, what is our desire in this life, and what is our service that we've come here to do. And be in alignment with that. And the how starts showing up. Yeah, and that's where you start getting those micro and major miracles popping in, those opportunities that you never thought, things that I remember one time in my biggest desperation, part of that is just saying you can't do it all, right? It is being able to surrender, whether it's to ask help from someone else. I remember when my business was going down in flames, saying, I just need a beautiful group of strong women to support me through this. And I don't know how I'm going to make my $2,500 payment this month for all my expenses. But what I really need is this group of women. And my client that morning came and slipped me a thank you card that said, I belong to a group of women. The fee is $2,500 to be part of this group of women. And here's another $2,500 for you to do it. That was the same day of me surrendering and saying, I just need help. This is what but I was very specific of the what. The how was this person I met once for an hour, showing up with a card. So allow yourself to be willing to say what else is possible. I don't see the answer. What else is possible that I'm not seeing? Let that happen. That's for my highest good.
Any reflections on that, Mr.?
Yeah, I love that. Like, and it's funny because the how is what brings the most stress. The how, like the what is easy, which is supposed to be that way. It's that way for a reason. And the how stresses us out because we just don't know. And it's almost funny because it's like someone might ask me, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years from now? And I can honestly and gladly now say, I don't know, because it's better that way. Like when you force yourself into a mode, you're stuck in that no matter how miserable you are at the particular time. And it's so freeing to not know, but also believe that it's all going to work out. And it does. Like we all have tons of examples where we thought, oh, this is it. Everything is going to go terribly wrong. And then it's a story like Linda just shared out of nowhere. Like there's no way we could have controlled that. There's no way we could have foreseen that. It just happens. And it's like, wow, I get it.
Yeah. I feel like there's the surrender piece is unique to that situation and what surrender looks like. You know, surrender to defending yourself in a fight, surrender to, you know, being willing to be punched in a fight. You know, I feel like how surrender is asking us to live our lives. We are caught up in this. We are really encouraged to be caught up in this matrix, like, you know, and to be given these protocols. And so then people are like, okay, I will wage safety on myself to the degree that I will stifle my creativity. I will do all of this in order to make sure I get the pieces to take care of myself, because I have to take care of myself. Someone's got to take care of me, or I have to take care of me. And there's a misunderstanding that the universe is seeking to take care of you. The source is seeking to take care of us. Gaia is seeking to take care of us, but in ways that our conscious mind may be at odds with, because our conscious mind has an investment in an ego, in an identity, and how we show up. When we are able to surrender that into the greater flow, then it's like who our personality is, it just becomes a myriad of reflections of like from moment to moment experiences. And yeah, there is something that's based in the past, a longevity of knowing who you are, but it's no longer rooted in the past and you're reacting from the past. It becomes a different exchange with what's happening around you, and that value of peace and whatever that value of showing up vulnerable, value of showing up honest, like those values that we decide are our values, then frame how we take each next moment. Because we know that if we compromise those values, we start to go like this, and we already know that because we've tested it so many times. And I'll toss the mic to you, sir.
Yeah, it's and every time I won't say I get mad at myself, but it's like, when are you gonna learn? It's like, when will you finally learn that everything is all right? Everything is always gonna be all right. Like, you're going through this for a reason. And again, like you said, like Linda said, like, reframe it. Ask yourself, what do you want me to learn in this moment? What is it? You will always receive an answer, an instant answer, and you'll get to see things in a new light, in a new way. And it's fun. It's like, I'll bring this up. This is a perfect example. I remember one time I was vacationing. I was at some beach or something, and it was heavy waves coming. And I said, oh, I want to do an experiment. So I think the first thing I did, I tried to like go against the waves, like kind of meet the force with force. I did, it hurt. So I was like, okay, cool. The next one, I'm just gonna stand still, just stand as still as I can. The wave came, stood still, knocked me down, hurt, but not as much. So then the next one, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let go completely and see what happens. So I let go completely, the wave came, it kind of threw me a little bit. I didn't get hurt, but it threw me. But I said, oh, there's one more. I'm gonna ride this wave, like, in a sense. So the wave came, I let go enough for it, and then I kind of just jumped out and did the Superman like pose, and it was fun. I had the time of my life. And so it's like a lesson. Like we try to go against the current, we try to go against all of them, we try to stand our ground, but no, just ride that wave. And you will have the most fun you ever had in your life.
It's such a great analogy. It makes you think of surfing and waterboarding. Or not waterboarding, not waterboarding. Oh my God. Take that one back. Paddleboarding, where we're in the flow of the wave, and like the most exciting part is like being able to feel that wave go through your body, right? Like you're like in the wave, it's going through you. And that is something my whole team has been working on with me for years. And we finally hit the switch. But like that the idea is that if you work with the flow, it's all given to you. Even if it looks like you have nothing, if you are in the flow, it doesn't matter. It's illusory. It's illusory, and things will show up for you. What do you need? Not necessarily what do you want, but what do you need? It will be there for you if you are willing to not panic and go and double down in fear. Mr. Jason, I know that you said you had some questions for JClay.
Well, yeah, so I do have a question. So this is like you said that, you know, hopefully one day you'll get there, right? To where it's an automatic thing. Do you think that I feel like, how do I want to say this? Like, do you think that that's a possibility? You know, like, or do you think that it's like, is there that little bit of us that's always going to be human because we're human and have those little moments? Like,
Yeah, I think it's a possibility because I feel like we've all already done it as kids. Like you know, you look at children, they're carefree, they're totally in the moment. Even if something bad happens, they cry, but then they let it go instantly. Like they're just in that flow, in the oneness. And also, like, even to the previous point about, like, you know, love needing no offense or defense. Like, kids can make the hardest face smile, like the most hardened face, they can make them just ooh, you know, and it's something about that pure love and pure joy. And since we all came through that, it's very possible to go back to it. We just taught ourselves that it's stronger to be meaner or something. And we just need to undo that and remember who we were, in a sense. That
was a great example. And you also mentioned like at the beginning of the conversation, you know, when you were younger, you were always okay with being yourself, right? And then reality sets in, and peer pressure and perception, and it happens to all of us, right? Like you were just talking about, like, you have all these outside forces that we're allowing to then influence who we think we should be and stop being who we are. And, you know, this exit point that you're making now, where you're coming back into your true authentic self that you were back when you were little, is clearly expressing itself in the music. And so, like, specifically around the music, one of the last weekend, I'm horrible with names, she talked a lot about frequency and how certain
Maria,
how certain sounds can carry certain vibrations, right? So, like, when you're, and I know you're channeling this music, but, like, do you make conscious decisions? Like, do you think that deep into it of, oh, this note resonates, it's supposed to resonate with this, or it's supposed to be this megahertz, or I don't know the terminology. Like, is that part of it, or is it just this is what sounds good?
Yeah, it's a mixture of both without knowing it. So it's almost like, okay, because I used to make my own instrumentals, but now I work with other producers, and with hearing it, it's kind of like, what does this instrumental need? What is it asking for? And it's like I become one with it, and it's a process of drawing it out. So it's like, one might have a darker tone, so it's like, okay, I need to start here, but I'm going to get to the light. Or one might just be very happy from the beginning, and you just kind of match that. So it's more like you're asking the instrumental for its permission, and asking, like, what do you need? What do you need to be brought out? Like, what part? And then so it influences your cadence, the tones you use, the inflections, maybe the ad libs you put in. It's all like this orchestra, in a sense of just sound and oneness.
I mean, you're really communicating with, you know, you're being the medium, right, for the music. Like, you're communicating to these tones, these vibrations, these frequencies, these waves. I think I've never heard anyone explain it that way. If someone's like, you know, creating this relationship, okay, with the sound, what does it need? What can I give it? What do I need to take? I've never heard it expressed that way. It's I don't know, it's just really cool to hear you kind of explain that process of how it works for you.
Jason, is that how you paint?
Yeah, I always say it's like an energetic police sketch, right? Like, you just, like, you feel, oh, it needs this, or, you know, I need to make this bigger. Oh, this is in the wrong place. This is the wrong shape. Oh, this needs to be this color. Yeah, so I guess it really kind of is. It's just a different medium, but it's essentially almost kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's like you said in the pre-show, we were talking about your painting and how you just weren't feeling like you were able to finish it yet. It's the same with music. Like some songs, they just write themselves, but some I might be in a certain space so I can write the first verse, but then the next verse might not come into a month later or 2 months later. It's just kind of just being in that particular energy at the time. And maybe it might be something you need to learn first. And you're like, oh, I learned that. I can apply this back to this song and finish it. And it's just cool how it all works out.
I love that so much. On that note, let's go ahead and share some more of JClay's work. I've got another question for you, but I want us to have this experience, more of this experience.
I don't know. I just be rapping. Yeah. You were born perfect, then it shifted. Cause somebody more important said you different. Why they more important? Why you listen? How could you imagine what you missing? Cause when you imagine it, it's what you in it. So here you are, or are you hidden? And when you right here, why you distant? Or where you visiting to because it isn't? Yet and still, how could you prove what you miss? Like if you die, how could you prove you exist? And if you're life, why would you prove you at risk? And if you right, how could you lose what you is? Can't tell the real from the made up. That's why you still get chills when you prayed up. You the question and the answer, but you say what? Like how could you ever destroy your creator? Mind blown, mind blown, mind blown.
I fight for you, now with you, Yahweh. That's real love, I got answers, not questions, I got back. You're killing yourself, but you won't live again. We try to cheat death, but we wanna go to heaven. Preach, make that make sense. Mind blown, make that make sense. Mind blown, make that make sense. We try to cheat death, but we wanna go to heaven.
Funny blue pass for the fashion. Bunch of masks wearing masks with their mask on. Covered underneath, they got their past on. Another level deep, that lies their passion. They help you keep a trap with a trap song. All the speech they block with the wax on. You still think weak when you act strong. Living an opinion cause the fact's wrong. You don't trust cause you don't trust yourself. That's why you cuss because you've cursed yourself. That's why you can't find, you don't search yourself. You try to hurt but you just hurt yourself. It's like what they say that I'm rubber, you glue. Your words can birth purpose, they'll always ring true. Even when they not, they do. You think that you speak against others, you're speaking to you. Mind blown, mind blown.
I fight for you, not with you, Yahweh. That's real love, I got answers, not questions, I got bed. You're killing yourself, but you wanna live again. We try to cheat death, but we wanna go to heaven. Preach, make that make sense. My blow, make that make sense. My blow, make that make sense. We try to cheat death, but we wanna go to heaven.
You trade your happiness for some cash. Think that makes you happy, contradictory. Going around trying to make splash. Wonder why life seems slippery. Becoming next person was bad. That even good is a mystery. Being so stuck in the past. Let's try to make history. Fear-based thinking brings scary illusions. Solutions from delusions bring truth substitutions. And if it ain't true, then why hold it higher? You swear you 100 and you claim to hate liars. Self-hate is soft, so hate is what's found. Seek not to hold and you never be bound. Like could you see up when you always looking down? Well, look a little further while I readjust your crown. Mind blown.
I fight for you, now with you, Yahweh. It's real love, I got answers, not questions, I got pain. You're killing yourself, but you wanna live again. You try to cheat death, but we wanna go to heaven.
All right, there is so much in that. There's just some zingers in there. I mean, first of all, the groove is fantastic. It's just like this, like you could just go with that groove for days. But the messaging is so direct in terms of accountability. Yeah.
I love the Karate Kid reference, block with the wax on. I was like, okay, Karate Kid. That was smooth.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi has a lot of relevant truth, wisdom that he shares in that movie too.
Mm-hmm. Loretta's saying it's not easy to produce rap music and incorporate a high vibrational principle in it, and it sounds amazing. Salute to you, Jay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, you go. I got my question in my mind, but you go.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, that particular song, like it's meant to speak to all the contradictions we have within ourselves. It's like, well, we think this, and if this is true, then this can't be true. But we also think this, and which do we really believe? And it was kind of just talking to that so that we can find some truth in it for ourselves.
Yeah, again, it puts your feet into the driver's seat over and over again, or into the accountability seat, where you are the one who, what are you actively choosing to create? And yeah, it's just so strong. And I wanted to talk to you, being in the rap industry, because, it's like what Loretta's saying, this is not common. And, being loving isn't exactly the edge that people are looking for in the rap industry. And I think that there's a certain expectation of, posturing that is just like, and you need to get your posturing down and have it down cold. Otherwise, that's part of the performance, right? Is being able to embody all of it. Your past is also your performance. And you're performing in this space of peace. You're performing in this space of love, of playfulness, of joy. How are you taken in the industry?
Yeah, so far, I mean, it's good. It's I'm getting great reception from everyone, like even people who might listen to the more hardcore things. It's just like a different taste in music. It's like, I need this. And from my standpoint, personally, one thing I noticed about speaking about performances, when you perform a song, you really embody the essence of it. So now you think about some of the artists that might have died early on, and then you kind of listen to the lyrics of the essence of that song. And it's like, even if they're not there when they perform it, they kind of recreate that, they bring that back. And so that was important too, to make sure that if I make a song, I'm comfortable with the energy that it evokes to give the good performance, because I don't want to, I don't want to relive past traumas every single time and then let that be associated with me. Like it, and so it's important that I chose this path going forward.
And it does say something about the whole having to sing a song that you've sang 5,000 times before in front of an audience that's related to a past moment 20 years ago in your life. And how do you connect to that now when that's not even, you don't even recognize that person anymore? And it says something to your choice of like, well, these really are timeless lyrics in that they're attached to the past, they're attached to this now in 1,000 different ways,
Yeah. I've performed songs that had my past traumas in it before. It's not pleasant. And again, like if you want to give the best performance ever, you have to embody the song. Like you have to give all that you have of that particular piece. And when I started seeing the correlations of all these great artists, talented artists that died so young, it's like they might have had depressive lyrics. They might have had a lot of things that they were going on. And there are millions of people that say, yes, sing this song, give us more of this. And it's hard, especially like you said, they're moving on, they're moving up higher, but they keep getting brought down by their own choice.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. Because then, it's like a snake eating its own tail, because you're expected to repeat what you've already been in a new stylized version. And it's like, that's just it's really kind of heartbreaking. Linda, did you have a thought?
I'm just really grateful that we have new avenues called the internet, where you can be appreciated, held up, grow your music without having a record company deem that you're worthwhile. I discovered Ren recently. I'm probably the last one on the planet to, but he's got a song called Hi Ren that talks about the artist, and he had Lyme disease, his record company dropped him because he had Lyme disease and couldn't, they were sure he couldn't perform for them, struggled for a long time. And his song now is like exploding because people are resonating with this internal dialogue that we all have being brilliantly expressed. And he's now popular despite record companies because we're wanting that as a society. So I'm so excited that you have the ability with this platform to reach so many more people. So everybody share this and share his music because we need more. We absolutely need more.
Yeah, I will drop JClay's YouTube page or YouTube channel rather in the chat, because I mean, this is the thing. The man has got so much music out there, but he's produced videos for all of it. And a lot of them are him it's him performing. And so it's like the time and money and energy that has gone into this man's work. I mean, it is, and to not be supported by a label and to be able to be producing the quality of work that he's producing speaks to the support the universe is showing up with. Because other people would be on struggle bus and they would be doing side hustles to get any of those. They do a side hustle per video to get any of those videos made because it is time consuming to take it to that level. What are your thoughts on that, Jelani?
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, and so it's funny because it's the dilemma of like, there's so many ways to monetize yourself, but at the same time, I don't want to have to charge people an arm and a leg to get this information. Like, just if people can just understand some of what I'm trying to speak and share, like the world would just automatically become a better place, I feel. And so I can't put a price tag on that and say, hey, you can only be better and peaceful if you pay like a high price. So I'm fine with maybe making my money not from my supporters, but from other ways, and then putting it in this. Like, this is my fun thing. This is my hobby. This is, you know how some people can be very frugal on some things, but they have that thing that they're going all out. This is my thing. Like, no matter what, it's fun. I'm passionate about it. And even, I'll say this too, because I feel this is important. There may be times where I'm not passionate about music, like, and I'm surprised, like, does this mean I'm never going to do music again? But then I surrender to the moment, do whatever that project is, and then the music comes back like tenfold, like, yes, it's time again. And so it's important to remember that being in the moment, it might have different forms, but it doesn't mean you have to make a life-changing decision, or it doesn't mean that it decides for the rest of your life. Like, you can do something you love, stop for a while, and come back.
I think that's really important for people to hear that, for people to know that you can have a passion, and just because the muse walks out of the room for a while and another muse walks in, it doesn't mean that the other muse is gone. She's just, gone to get a pack of ciggies or, whatever she's off to do. And I want to talk to you about your projects. What kind of projects do you have going on? Do you have any collaborations coming up, or?
Yeah, there's some songs, some more songs coming up with collabing with different artists. And it's funny too, like Linda was saying, we need more, but the more I do this, the more I see more too. Like, it's cool. It's like, wow, there's so many people out here like this that people don't know about, that we need to work together and do things. Like, even this platform, this is needed. And yeah, so back to the projects. Yeah, there'll be more songs coming out. I'm loosely working on another album. I don't really know. I'm still waiting for it to take shape. Like, I have a lot of completed songs, but like the one I released, it tells a story. It kind of has an arc. Like, it goes from you're in the normal world and it's taking you on this journey to understanding the power of forgiveness. Like, people say you should forgive, but it really goes into the why you should forgive and why it's actually better for you. And I think we miss that a lot when we tell people, you got to forgive. Like, why? I don't want to forgive. But when you actually learn why, then you see, oh, okay, it's better. It serves me to really forgive. But that's my original project. And speaking with you, Katman, you kind of inspired me on some other things that I didn't even think about taking this, like maybe like in theater and having a production. So I've been thinking about that. I kind of wrote my first scene since we talked maybe last month, which is cool. Again, I still don't know where it's going, but that's how it is with songwriting. I'll just start, and I don't even know what the title is going to be or not. It just takes form. And so I guess life is like that too. If we let it, you don't know, you just take that first step and we'll see. So, yeah.
But isn't that the thing? Because I was thinking about this the other day, where we don't really know where our lives are taking us anyway, and a lot of times it is that thing. It's a precarious thing of choosing for safety, because then your life is going to look like sitting in front of a TV for 40 years until you die. Like if that is that calling for you, and that's okay, then that's cool. But like if you're willing to show up at all and be challenged at all and take up any space at all, and you're really willing to stake some sort of claim in what you're creating in the world, then life does have a journey for you, and it's going to be not expected. And even if you're trying to live safe, life is going to be like, oh, that's nice, you're trying to live safe, but I'm going to throw some things in your path because you didn't come here to be safe. You came here to live. You came here to be in the expected, and I think God lives in the unexpected moment. That's where we can find authenticity with that divine connection.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna add this too, because it's funny that you mentioned that Kat said something about, kind of this being on the stage, because I totally had a flash of it as an animation. So that's also another option. Keep that in mind. I don't really like to do prediction type things, but I did write down other artists. So I think that's going to be a common thing. Like you will continue to work with other people. And then they showed me a dollar bill. So I don't know, and it's supposed to be in reference to a name. So, but I don't know if there's a Bill or if it's George, but there's something about it. They showed me a dollar bill and it's supposed to be a name reference. I'm just not sure what that is. So hold on to that too. I think that may be connected. And I also wrote down, I'll be totally honest with you, I really feel like there's an option for you to have your own record label, and then bring in other artists that are going to start kind of in this movement as we shift, and that vibration is shifting. Other artists are going to come out and with the same type of positive message, and I think that you're going to be like the house or the umbrella that kind of helps them up. So just some. Some options.
One with the animation, I'm currently trying to figure out how to do that, because I do have a video that I want some animation on. So yeah, that's a synchronicity. Thank you. On the dollar bill, what came to mind is I have two songs about money. One is released already, and another isn't, because I know that's a big topic for people. And that's what came to mind when you said dollar bill. Like, yeah, go ahead and flush that song out, finish that song, because it's needed. And then record label, I that's kind of cool, because again, I'm fascinated with knowing how things work and how to get the best of it. And I also do like programming on the side. I even work with a music distribution company. That's one of my clients that has like certain systems that I'm helping them make and automate. And I'm bringing some of what I already know about the music industry into it, but I'm also learning from them as well. And I'm kind of making all of these processes up so that they can be applied to not only my music, but to other music itself as well, which is cool, which sounds like a record label. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Any psychic predictions, Linda? We'll do a little reading for JClay. The collaboration piece, I think, is definitely in the works there. And I was actually the production piece. As soon as you said that, I get this little confirmation thing of a vibration on the back of my crown, and that hit. Like, oh yeah, yummy.
And I think it'd be cool to have, oh, sorry, go ahead, Linda.
No, that's it.
It'd be cool to have the animation also in the performances. So what if you had an animation playing in the performances? Like even if you had some video that you did of your songs, but you brought some excerpts of that video and played it in the live performances, as backdrops or as aspects. I just love this stuff. At some point, I do have to get back into creating and doing art stuff, collaboration myself. Anyway, well, I guess my final question really for you, sir, is like, in the terms of men being able to feel emotion and men being able to cry, and it was just so like it was like an ugly cry I was holding back with your first song, and it's just I'm empathic and I'm just open and I've just surrendered to it. So. But like, I feel like that's one of the toxicities that they talk about masculine male toxicity, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the toxicity of not being able to feel your emotions, because that does create toxicity within anybody. So like in terms of, the male, all industries are male dominant, as far as I know, in terms of like industries that are like producing music, producing, movies, all that stuff. And how do you show up in a culture being vulnerable, being willing to feel when others are telling you that is that's foolishness, that is weakness? How do you engage with those people in your world when that shows up?
So okay, it's different for me because like I do have that male energy of I'm not gonna cry. Like I still have that, but I will say like, again, the more spiritual I get, the more emotions just kind of pour out, and like the things that would make me sad before don't, and the things that I might not have been bothered by, it'll make me cry, but it's like tears of joy. Like watching TV shows and seeing the humanity of it, like that would just send the floodgates. But seeing somebody die or get killed, it's like, oh, it's nothing anymore. But it's funny how that switched. But I guess like it's still me. Like it's the energy of me being me, in the sense of like, it's hard to explain. Okay, I had this conversation with some female friends of mine a lot, and they said it's almost like I'm a robot because I'm just choosing happiness and peace. Like I won't allow myself to be mad or like sad or anything like that. So, and I get that in a sense, those are emotions, but at the same time, it's like, it's not anymore to me. But that doesn't mean that I won't cry tears of joy or something like that. But it's more of I'm staying firm in what I believe, that like, no, I'll rather be happy than look at this from a sad perspective, so to speak.
So when something comes up that triggers anger, because what I find is that like I have to hold space for my emotions. The only way for my emotions to actually ascend and integrate are for me to hold them like a crying child that's needs to just have a safe space. And like, do you need me to hold you? No, don't hold you. Don't look at you. Okay. Is it okay to talk to you now? Okay. Like any part of me that is not resolved, that is still in conflict. I feel like that is my way of being with it. And I'm wondering, so when it pops up for me, I'm like, okay, breathe. What's going on? Like, is this, I start having this conversation of like, what is this worth it? Is this worth for you to get upset about? And I'm wondering, what's the conversation that shows up for you at this juncture when you get triggered?
Yeah. So for me, like the only ones that can trigger me now are maybe people in my inner circle, because they know me, the most. And I'm sure that's true with everyone. Because, because you feel like you can't leave those people. Like somebody else, you might just say, oh no, I'm going away from them. But even that, like those don't trigger me really anymore either, to even push them away. But if someone close to me says something that maybe triggers something, I pause and I almost like it, because it's like, wow, I didn't know I was holding on to that. I didn't know that this would make me feel this way in this moment. And it's like, okay, and I know this person didn't even mean it like that. And if they did, who cares? But they just revealed to me something I was holding on to that I didn't even realize. And so like that's my conversation with myself. And then maybe after the conversation, when I'm by myself, I'll go into, okay, why did that bother me? Like, do I believe that that's true about me? Do I not believe? Do I want to believe it? Like, what is that? And usually I can get to the truth of it. It was probably some false idea from when I was little and had nothing to do with nothing.
That's so powerful in terms of being able to say, make that quality of room for it. I think that's really commendable. It's a good tactic to use. Do we have any final questions, Jason, Linda, anyone from our audience before we start wrapping it up with the JClay man? No one calls you JClay man. No one calls you that. I just said that. JClayster. No, that's not it either. No one calls it that either.
I don't think so. I didn't know that there was such a category as conscious raps. So that's cool.
I didn't either.
Yeah, conscious rap is a little different. Okay, so there's conscious rap, there's Christian rap, and then there's spiritual rap. And so like conscious rap could be like you're conscious about the issues. Like there's these issues going on. I'm conscious. I'm bringing these issues to the forefront. Christian rap is more like, and I hate to say this because I don't want to feel like I'm picking on the Christian rap, but it's kind of a belief like, if you don't follow Jesus, you got to die, you got to go to hell. It's kind of like that. And spiritual is more like, it's accepting, like you see the oneness in it all. Like we're not separate in any way. We are all in this together, so to speak.
Who are your favorite artists?
Ooh, great question.
Favorite artists. So now it's kind of changed. It's like some old school R&B, like Stevie Wonder. I think he was enlightened. You hear some of his lyrics, it's like, wow, how did he come up with this? But the Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind, and Fire, they have some enlightened lyrics too, like sing a song. It's saying if you're unhappy, just sing a song. It's like, what? It's so simple. But it's more like kind of that old school high vibe feel. But I also at the same time don't listen to a lot right now because I'm usually just listening to instrumentals of what I'm writing next. So it's hard to say exactly who are my favorite. But I will say early on in rapping, I'm influenced by almost everybody. If it was on the radio, if it was a TV show, like even the Urkel song, I was influenced by that. Like it's everything. Anything that I find joy in, it's like, ooh, that's good. Let's use a piece of that or something.
Do you do the Urkel dance?
I don't. I probably tried to back then, but
That's awesome. Jason, did you have anything, sir?
I'm good.
You're good? All right. Well, with that, I'm going to ask the true final question, JClay, and that is from your heart to ours. What would you like to leave the audience with, the current, future audience that is going to be connecting and tuning into this show?
Yeah, that's that you are enough. You are perfect. Regardless of nobody else is qualified to tell you that you're not perfect. You are perfect as you are. You see the world uniquely as you're supposed to. The things that resonate with you are supposed to resonate with you. The way you see the world, you're supposed to see the world that way. And it's all right. It's all right for you to be you. There's already a bunch of other people. You don't need to be them. You need to be you only as you can see it. And that doesn't mean that you have to not be accepting of others' perspective. It's just to say that yours is as valid as theirs.
There, I muted. Yeah, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Excellent. All right, I'm going to toss the mic to Miss Linda, and we are going to start our thank yous as we close out the show.
As always, thank you guys for having such a great discussion on the side. I learned something from you every time, and I love how supportive we are of each other and of our guests. Be sure you check out JClay's site and his music. And thank you again for participating. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for the coffee. Thank you for the likes. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. Share his music, share the podcast. Sharing's caring, And with that, Kat, who do we have next week?
Next week, we have Bobby Richardson. And so we've had her on the show about a couple of years ago. I think it was in the first year of the show. She had me on her show recently. She is somebody who isn't channels. I mean, to say channel oneness, it's like we're all channeling source, right? And so, but Bobby's got her experience with that, her experience with the Fae, her experience with connecting with source through a near-death like experience. She's just bringing so much clarity and healing and wisdom in. So we'll be connecting with Bobby next week, and super excited. Yeah. And with that, we will close out the show. Thank you so much, everyone. And JClay, again, it's just been amazing. The energy that you've brought today. I'll be writing it for the rest of the strong end, what I call the weekend. The strong end will be on this wave that you've reminded me to just step onto and play on. So with that, everyone, take care. We'll see you next week.